Hey everyone, it's Ivan with kitbadger.com, out here for another gear review, and today talking about the junk sack as well as the custom Glock 43x by Shield Arms. Before I dive into the junk sack, which, spoiler, it is a fanny pack holster, I'm going to go ahead and speak to their custom Glock 43x because they've done some pretty cool stuff. To be fair, Glock actually made a really good, reliable pistol, and a lot of companies honestly make things that maybe detract from that reliability some. Not the best. So, pretty impressed that Shield Arms actually made things that arguably made the gun actually better, like meaningfully better. And the way they did that is largely through their magazines, and with that, also their mag release. So if you're unfamiliar, they make I think they're called their S15 magazines, and they are metal. And so they take this frame rather, either Glock 48 or Glock 43x, and give you significantly more rounds, 15 of them, which is amazing. But they also made a mag release because the polymer mag release honestly just doesn't play well with metal magazines. So turnkey solution, mag release, which I actually personally like better than the OEM one, and magazines, which I like way better than the OEM ones, significantly more rounds. And in addition to that, with their custom gun here, they also have a Magwell. Sometimes Magwells are pretty cool and very much made for competition, like this huge opening down here that you can throw mags in. This is not that. And while it does facilitate loading magazines, absolutely, my favorite thing about it is it allows for that, but it also still allows for, like with these magazines, to actually access them. So a very important part of the loading procedure ideally should be that once you seat that magazine, you actually pull and make sure it's seated. Rifle, pistol, doesn't matter. Very common to see mags drop on the range after that very first shot, which is kind of funny when it happens on the range. If it happens somewhere else, really problematic. So this, even though it is actually a flared Magwell assisting in reloads, it actually is made in such a way that is conducive to the reality of wanting to check, make sure your mag's seated. And in addition to that, or should, for whatever reason, a magazine gets stuck, still allows you access so that you can strip that mag if you need to. Then the other thing I will say they make that is pretty cool, extended base plates. So they actually have these, and the way they made these is you don't have to remove the entire base plate to actually just access the magazine for cleaning, stuff like that, to remove the follower. So you basically remove that piece, this slides out, and you can clean your magazine. This happens to be a +2. I want to say they also have a +5, which is pretty crazy, but again, fits in there, not obnoxious, pretty cool, easy to manipulate. And lastly, with respect to that Magwell, favorite part of the Magwell is it actually assists in establishing a good grip. This right there basically forces your hand up into that good high position and makes this, for me personally, way easier to shoot than a regular 43x or 48, I guess, and especially way better than a Glock 43. But that right there, really nice in assisting for that good grip, whether you don't have gloves or even if you do have gloves. Really appreciate that. And then the last thing, which Glock pretty much sucks at, they don't suck at, they're just placeholders. Their sights are terrible low, and like factory sights. So they actually replace these with some really good high quality sights, tritium, well, high-vis dot, as well as tritium dot over another dot in the bottom of the rear notch, and yeah, really nice sights. And in doing all of that stuff, they managed to not mess with the functionality of the pistol. So you still have a good, reliable pistol, but meaningful upgrades that actually make it better. We'll now jump into the junk sack. As I mentioned, it is a fanny pack holster with some pretty cool stuff going on. One thing I will say is the strap comes in 3 different sizes, small, medium, large. It is not your waist size, like directly related to pants, but 3 different sizes depending on how long this thing is. And on either side, you have this little bit of basically PALS webbing. You can put a carabiner on there for keys, stuff like that. When I am out where I'm at, honestly end up throwing a blade there, largely because of the pants I'm wearing. These are my favorite pants for out in the backcountry when it's cold, made by Beyond, the Testa soft shell, I think it is. They're great, except the pockets zip up, which is really nice out here, keep you warm, but doesn't give you access to a blade. Is this ideal setup right here? No, it's not. This is the Beckwith. Took me a second. Beckwith. This is actually a pocket sheath. I don't want to have to draw out of that, so because of how deep that is. But if I need my knife and I don't have access to pockets or anything else, I keep it there. I just take the sheath off, remove it, do whatever I need to do, put it back. But onto the junk sack, 2 compartments. Up front, you have this zippered compartment, and this right here is stretch nylon. You can put anything in there. You can put keys, wallet, cell phone, all of those things. I understand my application is maybe a little bit different than some, but this gets a lot of use in the backcountry. So 2 things that when you need them, regardless of backcountry or not, if you need them now. One is medical supplies, the other being firearms for violence. So I have both of those right here. Always have a tourniquet in a pocket, but in here I end up having, go through real quick, I have some quick clot gauze. I also have, because sometimes things happen, some Band-Aids, Wool Aid. These are actually pretty cool. And then lastly, to go with that gauze, rounding out that, I have this right here, which is basically 2 chest seals. These are the Halo. So I basically keep med gear right there. And then right here, this little strap that facilitates in drawing, i.e. opening this. And they did something pretty cool. One, I just think magnets are amazing, and they use magnets, so I think it's amazing. Basically rare earth magnets up top. So these stay secure until you pull it away. And there's also a little bit of Velcro. So if you want, you can rip this thing all the way down and expose everything, or you can just pull it away enough just with the magnets. Think about a slow draw. If you're unfamiliar with the concept of a slow draw, you recognize something bad is going to happen. You want to have a gun in hand should it happen, because you can't act right this second. You basically turn, blade away, whatever you need to do, slowly draw your pistol, and now your gun's in your hand, should that thing end up happening. This allows you to basically slow draw with the magnets, or if you're going to go big, you can just rip this thing to include the Velcro, expose everything, and it makes it quicker. It does. Then inside here, we have some other stuff going on. In the back of the junk sack, it is all female Velcro. And it actually comes with a adhesive piece of male Velcro, so you can stick it onto a holster body if you want and put that straight in there. Other things they do offer is basically this strap here. It has this Velcro piece, which can be affixed at whatever height you want in here. And then you can use that strap to actually mount your holster to. And as far as holsters go, the absolute minimalist holster I have in here is this right here. I want to say this is Vanguard by Raven Concealment, I think. And basically it just goes over, covers the trigger guard. Super minimalist. A couple companies make them. And so this can be used basically clipping straight in there, securing your pistol, or there's 2 grommets on the bottom. So you can actually lash this through those, one or both of those, so that the gun is resting in there. And when you draw it out and pull it, it is retained there, or the string is connected. So it basically just rips that trigger guard off. I personally like this setup. And the other thing I have in here too is this elastic mag pouch, or mag holder rather. The way I have this set up over here, I have this elastic band for spare mag. And no, I don't usually carry a spare mag into the backcountry. And there's basically 1 round in it from the last time I was shooting. But if I do carry a spare mag, it is right there. And then I will take the pistol, I will charge it. I'm not going to charge this thing because I'm still manipulating it for the sake of the video, but I'll then put this on it. Again, covers the trigger guard, makes the gun safe. Then this goes down behind this strap, and this hook right here goes over the strap, secures it, and now, and then make sure it's seated where, or situated where you want, and the gun is in there, loaded. So just kind of seal this thing back up. The rare earth magnets basically just snap over themselves. Then you can go and actually tidy up the Velcro on the sides. As I mentioned earlier, you can basically slow draw this thing, essentially breaking the seal with those magnets and drawing the thing out, rather than grabbing this thing and ripping it all the way down. Something to be aware of as you start shooting with this is when you rip this thing away, you want to actually rip it that way, so that when you come in to draw your pistol, you're not flagging yourself. Because if you take this and pull it straight down, your muzzle more than likely is going to come straight over your hand. Does that mean you're going to shoot yourself? No. Does it open the door to shoot yourself? Absolutely. Drawing out of this thing is pretty quick. Is it faster than your concealed draw if you're carrying appendix or strong side? Depends on how fast your draw is from appendix or strong side. Probably not. Is it faster than drawing out of fanny pack? Absolutely. I say that having spent an entire pistol course drawing a gun out of a fanny pack. I basically was shooting a P7 M8, safest gun you could ever carry, and I had that thing in a fanny pack, and unzip it, draw the thing out, get after it. This, I will say, there is more safety in the sense you actually have like a holster, albeit it's this. Best practice is to actually take that thing out of there and put it on the pistol. Make sure it's actually on there, which it is. And then essentially reholster the entire thing. Rather than having this thing in here, go through your draw stroke, rip this thing away, boom, bring this out, do your shooting, and then be like, all right, boom, and slam that thing home in there. Might not want to do that. Again, best practice, take that piece out, put it on there, and no, not loaded right now. What does that mean? It means you're probably not going to get as many reps as you would drawing and shooting this thing than if you just had a normal holster, because frankly, that time requirement is shorter and that is kind of tedious. Does it matter? Not terribly, because honestly, aside from the dynamic of opening this right there, your draw stroke is pretty much the same if you're drawing appendix anyway. So there's a lot of transfer there. It is a pretty short learning curve to being able to draw this thing out proficiently, honestly. So kind of a non-issue, but it is slower to get a lot of reps with this specific setup. Observation. Dimensionally also, if you're like, hey, what will this carry? you can get away with a Glock 19 or thereabouts sized pistol, as long as, again, it just is basically using a super minimalist holster like that. If you have a big other type of holster you're trying to put in there, probably won't fit. But overall, from use, how is it done for me? What do I like about it? I will say I basically got this when it was starting to get cold, and it's still cold. Not walking around wearing this thing with board shorts and flip-flops because it's not that weather yet. So honestly, where has this done a really good job for me? In the backcountry. And the reason being is, like today, hiked for a number of hours up here, part of it on snowshoes. And when you are moving under load with a pack on, not really conducive to any type of concealed carry, like standard concealed carry, especially if you're using that pack belt. Horribly uncomfortable if you try and just throw that thing over there. And so this allows me to basically carry the gun. You're like, well, why not mount a holster on your pack belt? Totally can. And I've done it before. Up here in North Idaho, it doesn't matter. Like I've ran into mothers with a rifle slung with their kids because, yeah, bears and moose are real. So, yeah, having a gun doesn't really matter here. Some places around the country kind of weirds people out. Whatever, I guess. This alleviates that. And the more important thing, though, that this does is, one, when you're cold or when it is cold, you layer up. Like right now, I have this shell on. And sometimes I was up here, I think last week, went up, stayed the night in the mountains, had rain pants on, the shell over that, all kinds of different layers. Accessing something on your belt line that is concealed gets really difficult, and this alleviates that. And the important thing for me with respect to backpacking is, one, you actually have access to it because it's on top of all your layers. And if you need to layer up or layer down, simply just undo the buckle, set this down for a second, throw on, take off whatever layer, put it right back on, you're good to go. But with carrying a backpack, if your gun is on your hip belt, then as soon as you drop your pack, you no longer have your gun. And in my case, med gear also. So this allows me to basically wear it with my backpack. And as soon as I drop my pack, I still have it on. So when I'm going around cutting firewood, camp chores, whatever it may be, still armed, still have my med gear. Those two things that are pretty important when they become important. So I actually really like it for colder weather, especially out backpacking. Overall, I've been really pleased with this. I think it does a solid job with respect to what it was made for. And I get it. Most people are like, oh, I need the fanny pack when it's hot and I'm in board shorts and flip-flops. For me, most valuable right now in these seasons, actually out in the backcountry for me when it's cold and I'm wearing layers. Price-wise, the junk sack itself comes in 3 colors, this being their grayish. They also have a black, and I want to say kind of like a ranger green / coyote or something like that. And sewn here in the US, actually over in Montana, my neighbor, right over those mountains. Yeah, about $100 I want to say. And price-wise on kind of everything else, it varies some. I want to say they're custom Glock 43x, around $600. Sweet Cerakote on there too. And their magazines individually, I want to say around maybe $45. You can also bundle them, get like 2, 3, 4 mags. And base plates, I don't recall. If you're interested in any of this stuff, there'll be links down below where you can go check it out. But like I said, it really depends on use case, if this would be a good fit for you. As far as that stuff I went over with their custom 43x, keep in mind like all those parts can be purchased individually, i.e. the actual mag release, mags, Magwell. Solid upgrades. Legitimate improvement on this pistol. Really pleased with them. But Like I said, there'll be links down below, and yeah, as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.